Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on our podcast. So, today I want to unpack for you the misconception, okay, that multitasking is an efficient way to increase your productivity. Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit because I know a few of you are going to be like, whoa, wait up, and potentially be a little bit triggered by this. However, multitasking is not a way for you to increase your productivity. Now, what is multitasking? So, effectively, multitasking is when you are doing multiple tasks all at the same time, or potentially kind of what is also known as task switching, when you are going from one task to another, back to another one, and kind of working on multiple tasks at the one time. So when I'm talking about multitasking, it might be like you're checking an email, you're creating some content, you are also answering the phone, you're responding to messages, you're responding to your emails, you're trying to create something all in that space of that one time where you are potentially working on multiple tasks at the one time. Okay. Now, why why am I talking about this? Now, the reason I want to bring up multitasking for you because a lot of my clients come to me, okay? And they come to me for lots of reasons, but one of the most popular reason is they need some clarity, they want to reduce the overwhelm, they feel like they've got so much going on, okay? They've got so much going on. Sometimes there are limiting beliefs there that we need to remove as well, but that's a different podcast, that's a different topic. However, they've got so much going on and they are multitasking at everything. However, it's not proving to be efficient. Okay. It's not proving to get them the productivity that they desire, that they need to achieve to get their business moving or get them closer to their goals or whatever it might be that they are moving to. So I want you to ask yourself, are you someone who is constantly task switching from one task to another? Okay. Or are you sitting down, focused on the task at hand, minimizing all of those distractions and getting that task done. Getting that task done to the best of your ability. You're doing your best job. There's, less chance of having errors and things like that. It's accurate. The information you're doing, it's accurate and it's of the best of your ability. Okay. Are you doing that or are you task switching, multitasking, doing all of those things? Because and I don't know who to give credit to here. To do two things at once is to do neither. Okay? To do two things at once is to do neither. Because let's face it, over the past, I don't know how many years, everyone has been programmed to believe that it's an effective thing to do. And the better that you can get at multitasking, the more efficient that you're going to be. But it's not effective. It's not efficient. Okay? Because if you were trying to do two things at once, you can't do both well. Okay? You can't do both well. So, what if you changed and you focus on one task at a time? Okay? Because you are going to lose time as well. And I want you to pay attention to this because this is what it's all about. It's all about creating awareness around how you want to live your best life. So I want you to pay attention to when you're focusing on one task solely. You're removing all the distractions. Maybe you've set a timer and you've set your focus on that one task. How does that feel when you are focusing solely on that one task? Do you feel as though you're more productive than when you're switching from one thing to another? Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. People can do more than one thing at a time. Okay. So we can walk and we can chew gum. Okay. We could be walking with a friend and we can also be maintaining a conversation with them and probably chewing gum. Okay. However, we can't focus. And for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I'm doing the inverted commas when I say focus. So we can't focus and give our 100% attention to something at one time. Okay. Because our attention bounces back. So think of reading a book. Okay, you're reading physical book in your hand and you have the paper copy in front of you. How many of you have read the page and you've gotten to the bottom of the page and you've gone, I don't even know what I've read? Okay, because you weren't 100% focused on that task. Your brain went off to what you were cooking for dinner that night. Did you remember something that you need for the kids at school? Have you done so? And then you've gotten to the bottom and you've realized that you weren't focused on that task, that your mind went elsewhere. So you possibly go back to the top of the page and reread that. That's what we're talking about. Your brain is designed to only focus, okay, on one task at a time. So that's what I'm talking about when we're talking about focusing on one task. So there are a few techniques out there. If you find this challenging, you can Google the Pomodoro technique. Okay. We'll probably do a podcast in the future about that to explain a little bit more because I love using that technique. However, it's kind of like just be aware that when you're going from one task to the other, and you get to that end of that same time limit, how effectively have you done any of those tasks? What if I was to talk to you about the cost of multitasking, okay, as opposed to monotasking when we focus on just one task, okay? There are so many studies out there that are showing that there are huge costs, okay, which refer to your time and your mental effort with regards to shifting your attention from one task to another. Okay. So, how are these costs going to affect you? Okay. So, they will affect you on your time. Okay. Because if you are paying more attention and you're aware of shifting from one task to the other task, there's time involved in actually getting you back on track and back into that focused state of starting that new task. Okay, so if you are going from creating an email or replying to an email and you're on that focus and you're doing that email and you're getting it ready, and then you have to go and answer a phone call, and then you start focusing on that task, and then when you come back to finishing completing that email, you have to kind of get back, where was I up to? What was the context of it? And you kind of have to get back into that state to be able, so you're losing time. So every time you're switching from one task to the other task, you are losing time. What is that time costing you? Okay. Want you to ask yourself, if you're an employee, you may be thinking, oh, it's not costing me anything. It's costing my employer something. But how would you show up as an employee if you were more efficient at your job? Okay. Would that mean that you don't have to stay back at the end of the day or work during your lunch break to meet targets and things like that? Or if you're self-employed or you're an entrepreneur and you have your own business or your own side gig or whatever it might be, how would that affect you with regards to your time? If you were getting more tasks completed to a high quality standard that you want, that you wanted to complete these tasks to, and you had more leftover time to do the things that were very important to you, to me, that's super effective because my time is my most valuable currency. Okay. We don't get our time back once it's used. So making sure for me to make sure that I'm using focused time and I'm focusing, all my efforts or as best I can on that one task at hand, setting a timer if need be, removing distractions so that I'm not, you know, it's not costing me my time. It's not costing me my mental effort. Because I'd like to ask you as well, pay attention when you are task switching from one task to another. Okay. When you are doing that, do you find that you get to the end of the day and maybe you're drained? Maybe you feel like you've used up all your energy for the day compared to the days where you've set timers or you've gone, this is the task at hand. This is what I'm working on. I'm removing my distractions. I'm focusing on this and I'm getting this done. I'm sure that you're going to find that you're more productive at completing that task, less errors. You're also going to maintain your energy a lot more, and you're also going to save yourself time so that you can allow yourself time to focus on the things that are most important for you. If you've always been someone who has always multitasked, okay, this may come challenging for you because we've programmed ourselves that multitasking is the way to go. Okay. So we have programmed ourselves to do that. So we're going to have to unprogram ourselves to do that. So what would I do? I would literally start on one project. Okay. One project. And even if it's one project a day that you're going to say, I'm going to block out my time and I'm going to work on this solely and I'm going to have my focus, for 30 minutes on this one task and I'm going to see how effective I am at completing this one task. Okay. That's where I would start. Okay. Because there are going to be challenges that pop up. Are you going to be perfect at it? No. Okay. Am I perfect at it? And it's been something that I've been doing for years and years and years. Okay. No. And there are going to be interruptions and there are going to be things, but what can you do to minimize those interruptions? Okay. If you're in a workplace, do you need to actually close the door for that amount of time? Do you need to alert your staff members that from this time to this time, I'm in a focused meeting where I'm, needing my creativity and I'm needing no interruptions for this dedicated time per day? Whatever it might be, you might need to look at your situation, but start small. What can you do to work on some specific tasks that need your 100% focus to help you achieve those? Now, there are some other examples where multitasking may be appropriate, okay? But have a think of where they might apply for you. So they might be tasks where they're not requiring your 100% focus. So I talked about reading a book. So when you're reading a page, that needs your 100% focus. When you're constructing, a memo to go out to your staff, or you're constructing some content for your social media, you need to be focused on that particular content. What tasks do you have that maybe don't need to have your 100% focus and attention? Have a think about that. But you'll find majority of the tasks do require our 100% attention, even if it's only for a small amount of time. Okay, so have a look at the tasks that you have. Have a look at the tasks that are repetitive tasks that come up for you. And could you allocate them in an ideal week? So if you need to respond to emails, what does your situation look like? Should you set yourself, a time in the morning and a time in the afternoon that you have a dedicated time that you sit down and you read your emails and you respond to them? Okay. Are there times that you need to create social media content? Could you put times in your allocated diary where you sit down and you allocate half an hour, whatever it might be, where you are creative and you're planning your social media content? And then other times when you're actually recording them or doing it like that. So that's what I do with this podcast, for example. I set time up where I'm actually researching, where I'm putting my notes together and things like that. And then I have another time when I actually sit down and record the podcast. Okay. But I couldn't record a podcast for you now and give you my 100% focus if I was responding to notifications, if I was also trying to respond to an email or reply to a message that I've received. That wouldn't be, my tasks, my focus would be divided between one task and another task. So that's what we mean by multitasking. So have a try. Okay. Have a try. I want you to play with this for yourself. Just start with one task, okay, maybe one task per day, and say, I'm going to do this 100% focused, okay? And I would like you to try it out for yourself and see how it increases your productivity, see how over time it will save you time, and you'll actually be more efficient at your task, and you're going to have more time left over to do the things that are most important to you. Okay, thanks everyone.